Hello and welcome back to Living in One Piece. I'm Angela Doggett. I'm a health coach and I'm here sharing the next chapter of my story. I'm going to dive right in and talk about it today, and you can catch up on the previous chapters. I'm not sharing everything because there are so many layers to this onion, and there's so many dimensions to the walk that I've been through over the past 13 plus years. But I'm sharing with you some of the highlights, the bullet points of the darkest moments that I walked through. And now I want to shift into some of what has helped me get back on my feet again and rediscover my purpose as I move into the latter half of my life. You see, I just turned 50 just about a week ago, and I am so excited that I have a fresh purpose, a fresh goals, new dreams just at the beginning of the second stage of my life. And I know if I can experience that, then I know you can too as well. The last chapter I shared with you was talking about one of the deepest, darkest moments I've ever been in. And that was the moment when I felt like I just didn't want to live any longer. And I wanted to take my life. I just wanted to go to sleep and never wake up again. But I persevered and I sat back up, and you can hear the details of that story in chapter 2. But in this particular video today, I want to share with you another story. And I want to share with you how this was the shifting moment that brought me into a breakthrough season, a time where I started making changes in who I was. And that was the moment I woke up and the whole right side of my face was paralyzed. When I went to the doctor, I found out that I had what's called Bell's palsy, and some of you may be familiar with that. But there is no cure to Bell's palsy, and it's caused by stress. That is the number one reason for Bell's palsy. And the doctor sent me away with really no hope. All he said was, here are some exercises, and here are some steroids, and I encourage you to go home, get an eye patch to cover that eye, because I couldn't close it, cover that eye, and go on about your life. And hopefully, in time that it will just go away. But there are no promises, and there may not be an end to this. So he left me with little hope. So I walked away, and I don't know how any of you, if you've gone through this, but sometimes when you get hit so many times, you just think, there's nothing else that I can think of that could possibly happen to be any worse than what I'm going through right now. And then bam, all of a sudden something else comes that you couldn't even fathom could happen. And you kind of giggle in that moment, like, this can't be for real. I've got to be in someone else's life or in a cartoon, but it's real. And that was my life, and that's where I was. I actually just giggled in that moment, and I thought, I can't believe this. This is insane that just a few weeks after I wanted to take my life, now I've got Bell's palsy. What's up? What's going on? God, if you exist, why are you allowing all of this happen to me? And I went home and I looked in the mirror, and I took just a real good evaluation, a look at my physical, at the outside. But as I was looking at the outside, I was thinking deeper beneath the skin. And I said, you know what, Angie? Nothing you've done up to this point has worked for you. You've been living weeks and weeks and weeks and months being a volunteer victim. You're allowing the circumstances of your life to dictate your attitude, and that by doing that, you are limiting your altitude. You're not going to go any further or any higher than here right now unless you shift your thinking. So I decided to shift my thinking, but I still didn't know if I believed in God, because I still felt like if he wasn't hurting me, he was allowing all this pain in my life. And I just was real angry, and I needed to know who he was. So I sat down in my living room and I said, what are you going to do next? And I said, and I talk to myself out loud. I know that might be crazy, but I do. And I answer myself out loud. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to myself. I said, Angie, what are you going to do? What are you going to do now? You don't even know if you believe in God. So how can he work to heal you if you don't even believe that he exists? And I thought, well, what I need to do is I need to find out what I believe in. And so I went and I bought a bunch of books on different faiths and different religions. And I surrounded myself on my family room floor with all these books. And for weeks, I just took the books and I just dove into them. And I read. I thumbed through some. I read more through others than I did, some of the others that I had. But long story short, I came full circle. I came all the way back around. You see, my faith that I grew up in worked wonders, and it was great for my parents, and it was working great until it didn't work for me. And I got to thinking, you know, the only God and faith I've ever had or believed in was that of my upbringing. It was that I was told to believe in. And I'm not saying that they were wrong. I'm saying I never really searched out my own salvation. I never searched out my purpose. I never searched out my true identity, because in my divorce, I didn't even know what I liked. How could I even know if God existed if I didn't even know what color I liked? I didn't even know how I liked my eggs. I didn't know what kind of fashion was my taste. I didn't know anything about who I was. So that's why I went on that soul searching. That's why I went into all those books to try to find out what I believed in. But I did come full circle. Like I just said, I came full circle back to the foundation of my faith. And that was that I did believe that God existed and that he created this earth that we all get to live in. And he did send his son. And that son's name was Jesus. And that son died for me. But then he came up, he rose again, and he ascended, but he left his spirit here to dwell and to give me the strength I need to get through difficult times. Don't ask me about Revelation. Don't ask me to dissect every book and scripture in the Bible, because I can't. I was birthed into it. I was born into it, but that doesn't mean that I've got all the true knowledge that is laying before me. But I did know this, that it was the beginning of the second of where I was headed, of where I was going. And as long as I had that foundational belief in me, I felt like I could build on that. And that's what I did. And that's the day I found my faith. You see, I didn't realize it until at that moment when I sat back and I said, okay, this is what I believe. It was right in that moment that something just came up inside of me and reminded me of a story that I'd heard so many times from so many different preachers across the world. And that's the story about a dad that brought his kids out camping. And they were setting up the tents, and they wanted to build a fire for that evening. And so he sent the kids out into the woods, and he told them to go gather some firewood and bring back to the camp. So the two little boys ran off, and they're playing and doing their thing, and they came back with their wood. But the little girl, she skipped through the forest, and as most little girls do, you know, she started chasing butterflies, and she started seeing the flowers and smelling the flowers, and she got so caught up in her surroundings that she got lost. And all of a sudden, when she finally realized she was, you know, she didn't know where she was, it was dark, and she looked all around, and she panicked. She got anxious and she started crying out. She said, "Daddy, where are you? Daddy, where are you?" And she's running and she's tearing through all the trees and the brush and kicking the leaves, and she's crying and she's dirty and she's scared. And she said, "Daddy, where are you? I'm lost. I can't find you, Daddy. Help me find where you are. I can't hear you. Are you out there? Help me." And she's just going over and over and getting louder and louder, and just out of nowhere, in the faint distance, she heard a noise. She heard a voice. And she said, "Daddy, is that you? I think that's you. I can't hear you. Is that you, Daddy?" And the voice kept getting closer. And he said, "Baby, it is. It's Daddy. Hang on. I'm coming." She said, "Yeah, but Daddy, where are you? I want to come to you. I'm scared. And the dad said, "No, baby. I want you to stand still. I want you to stay right where you are. Stop moving. And I just want you to keep calling my name." She said, "But why, Daddy?" He said, "Because as long as you're calling my name, I can find you." And it was in that moment that I realized that was the only thing I needed to know, that my God truly existed, and that he confirmed my already, searching of my faith, that he truly was God of my life, and that I was that little girl. And I'd been running everywhere, looking for him, looking for things outside of the camp, outside of him. But he told me when I sat still, he said, "Because you sat still and you called out my name, I don't need you to do anything else but just to keep calling out my name, and I will come find you, Angie. I'm coming to you." And that's what I did. And that's the beginning of my journey. And that's one of the areas that I still apply to my life daily. And I'm going to tell you about the rest. And I'm going to tell you more. And I'm going to bring some stories in still from my life to tie it all in together. But I want you to know, and I'm going to leave you with this today, that that's how it began for me. I don't know about you, but that's how it began for me. And that's what I needed as the foundation to build on for my future. I hope this helped you, and I hope this encouraged you. And I'd love to hear from you if you're getting something from these videos, because this is kind of just like a way of me pouring out my heart and where I am on this path and this journey. But I know you're blessed, and I know some of you are out there running around looking for God and wondering where He is and what's going on in life. And I'm here to tell you today, just stand still right where you are. Don't move anything, don't change anything. Just stay right there. Keep calling out His name, and He's going to come to you. He will find you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be blessed, and I'll be back very soon with another piece, another chapter to my story. God bless.